Have you ever created your own fire? Maybe while camping or lighting a grill. Well, there are people that actually study how fires affect the environment. Meet Rob. He is a fire ecologist working in Colorado. Ecologists study ecosystems. Ecosystems are areas where living and non-living things exist together. A fire ecologist researches how fires affect ecosystems. They might research how different living and non-living materials, like trees or soil, burn under various conditions. They might work with the national park and forest officials to determine how to best manage ecosystems to prevent large forest fires. They might also investigate how fires can be helpful for ecosystems. For example, fires can eliminate diseased trees and plants. This month, the Colorado National Park Service has hired Rob to help them recover from a massive forest fire in the Rio Grande National Forest. Look at how the ecosystem looks after the fire. The fire was started by just one person who didn't put out his campfire properly, and it ended up burning down over 10,000 acres of forest. Look at the dark green area of the park map to see how much was burned. As a fire ecologist, it's Rob's job to collect data to answer the following questions. How long will it take for the forest plants to grow back? What are the soil conditions after the fire? And how many fire-dependent plant species are in the area? The seeds of a fire-dependent plant can only grow after they've been burned. To answer these questions, Rob must understand how the ecosystem functions. One major law of nature that applies to all ecosystems is the recycling of its materials. There is no such thing as garbage in nature. All of its materials are reused over and over again. For example, when a turtle or bird hatches from its egg, the egg shell is broken down into tiny pieces by bacteria and other organisms. The material in the shell becomes food for those organisms. Eventually, you no longer see the shell, but its parts still exist. They are being used by the bacteria that ate it. In the case of a forest, leaves that fall to the ground are used by other parts of the ecosystem. Leaves can be eaten by insects, bacteria, and other small organisms. Leaves can also end up in the soil, which adds nutrients for future plants to grow there. Scientists use the word matter to describe any type of thing that has mass. All matter in an ecosystem, like trees, plants, rocks, and animals, are made of materials that came from past things. You can think of it this way. Matter changes shape and size and can move around, but it does not magically appear, nor does it disappear. It gets used over and over again in different ways. As a fire ecologist, Rob knows that trees that are burned down in a fire do not disappear. They are just matter that has changed shape and size. The trees actually become gas and ash. The ash becomes part of the soil and then is used to grow more trees. Living trees and plants will actually take in the gas from the burnt trees through their leaves. You can't see this happening, but it does. They also take in nutrients from the ashes through the roots. Living trees use the materials from the burned trees to grow new branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. Rob uses this rule of nature to predict what will happen in the forest ecosystem after the fire. He makes observations about which trees are still living, what seeds are in the soil, and which plants will regrow using the ash as fertilizer. Fire ecologists like Rob use their knowledge about ecosystems and fire to protect forests and other areas that are prone to fires around the world. Now it's your turn to go on an adventure and be a fire ecologist.